Welcome back to Equity TV. I'm Francis Mayer, and today we're talking about the role of athletics in education. Now, for a lot of our student athletes, they feel that the professional ranks will be calling soon enough, just like Jeremy Stott just told us. So why get the degree? Well, because as Jeremy pointed out, even if you make it to the NFL, unless you're one of maybe 5% of the athletes on a roster for the over 30 teams, then you're going to find yourself needing to find a real job so you continue paying for that house and those 2 cars and your children's educations. And hopefully you've thought ahead like Coach Reggie Bolton did. Coach Bolton, you're an assistant coach for the Bakersfield College football team, the defensive coordinator, and you weren't always a coach, though. You were a student first. Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Oakland Tech High School in Oakland, California.
Okay.
And after that, moved on to Humboldt State University.
Up in Arcata, California.
Up in Arcata, California. Yeah. Big change for me, but it was good.
I believe that, yeah. How was that transition? And were you open to leaving Oakland? Because I know a lot of folks from the East Bay. That's a world unto itself.
Right.
And there's a lot of things to do. There's always stuff going on. And a lot of colleges that people are looking at are college towns where there's not a lot going on.
Right. Well, I was at that time, in 1988, I graduated. I was ready to get out of Oakland because it was a pretty dangerous place at that time.
Yeah.
And so anything outside of Oakland was good for me, and I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go to Humboldt State because I had a coach and high school football coach who attended Humboldt State and didn't get a Division I offer, didn't get a Division II scholarship. And so I just had a chance to, always wanted to go to college, but had a chance to go up to Humboldt State, and it was probably the best decision I made.
That's awesome. Did your parents go to college?
No, they didn't. No, okay. I'm a first-generation college student.
Oh, wow. And what did that motivate you to get your degree?
Yeah, when you grow up in an environment like Oakland, you always look for something better. I was fortunate to have some opportunities to get out and go to some colleges, go to some baseball camps early, and then I remember one example of being at University of San Francisco at an Oakland A's baseball camp, and I was living in the dorms, and that was my first experience with college.
Oh, wow.
And I was probably about 8 years old at that time. And it was just, I never forgot that. And so I always wanted to be a part of that, be in that environment. So it was my goal to get out and do that.
Then we're tiptoeing around this a little bit. For our athletes and students who might not be familiar with Oaktown or the East Bay, I have a friend who works in technology, and she's working on a product right now where there's microphones on the streetlights in Oakland that help them triangulate the location of gunshots.
Yes.
Oakland is no joke.
No doubt. I mean, 1988, the murder rate in Oakland was at the highest per capita than any city in the country, and it's pretty close there right now. So at that time, I had some experiences in Oakland. I remember being a high school student walking home from a basketball game and having gunshots fly across my head because guys were mad because they didn't win at a basketball game, and I'm laying in the grass of my high school thinking I got to get out of Oakland. And at that point, I was taking the first opportunity to get out of Oakland and go do something with my life. So it's pretty rough at that time.
Right. And I know a lot of people want to feel loyal to the hometown, but ultimately you have to take care of yourself and you have to improve yourself so that maybe someday if you want to, you can go back and change. But also I bet you've inspired folks in your own family.
Yes, no doubt. I mean, I think me being the first person to go out, they had that opportunity to see somebody close to them to go out and go to college and make it, and make it outside of just getting a scholarship or playing football or making it to the NFL or things like that. Just make it going to school. So there's been a few come behind me who now have degrees and went on and got to college, and
because Uncle Reggie did it.
Because I did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're at Humboldt State University, home of the Lumberjacks, and did you feel like there was a chance that you were going to go pro, play in the NFL, play in the CFL?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all our goals. As athletes, we think if we make it to the college level and had a chance to play and compete, we got a chance to make it to the professional ranks. But for me, when I realized that wasn't happening. I was at a Division II non-scholarship program, and I was playing, and I was, doing pretty good. But the scouts wouldn't come and knocking at my door. I realized I had to get a degree because I had to go to Plan B.
So that and that was it. The scouts weren't calling. I think the last guy to get drafted out of Humboldt State, was it Scotty Reagan maybe? Was that around your time? Maybe
yeah, at that time. It was actually a guy named Freeman Basinger.
The wide receiver.
Wide receiver who was out of Oakland too, which is funny. Yeah, he got drafted by the New England Patriots. I think he got drafted in the last round. So that was the last guy that got drafted. And I wasn't the caliber athlete that Freeman was, so I knew that they wouldn't come and knocking at my door. So I figured I had to do something else, and education was the route I took. And from that, I just took off, and I thought it was my opportunity to get move on.
Now, I know you, and I know you're married, and I know you have children now, so you're a grown-up.
Right.
And you have managed to make a life in athletics without playing, though.
Yes. Athletics was my passion.
Right.
I mean, I enjoyed playing, and I wanted to continue in it. So, when I graduated from Humboldt State, I'd had an internship back in Oakland, California for 6 months doing probation, because that was my goal was to go back in the community and do probation and help people in my own hometown. And my experience there was like sitting behind a desk and talking to young kids about petty theft, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So I had an opportunity to go back and get into coaching and get my master's degree, which I never thought I would get a master's degree, but I had an opportunity to do it, and I took advantage of it and went 2 years at Humboldt and got a master's degree, and then it kind of took off from there.
And how have you been able, with the master's degree, just to kind of set a roadmap for our young student athletes? And what we're talking about here is a very small percentage, and you've been around a lot of talented athletes. I've been around a lot of talented athletes, and we both know a very small percentage of them get to make a career, let alone even get a shot at playing these sports for a living. But you have managed to stay in football and make a good living at it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
You have the things you want. That's a nice watch you got on there. And what was the first steps you took? So you went and you tried out being a probation officer. Not for Reggie.
Not for me at all.
So then you come back and you get your master's degree. And what made you think coaching?
Well, one of the things I learned when I was at Humboldt State is that the more education I had, the more opportunities and more doors would open. And so one of the things that, I did is I wanted to always give myself opportunities. So I continued to go through my education. So when I took the opportunity to be a graduate assistant and coach still, and then to get a master's, it just opened me up to more possibilities. And so from that point, I took a couple of jobs, being a defensive coordinator at a junior college, and then I had an opportunity to go back to Humboldt State and become the defensive coordinator there. And then that led into another position, which was I was a head coach at Santa Barbara City College for 4 years. And then from there, I ended up here at Bakersfield, which has kind of projected me in a different area in administration, associate athletic director. So it's like, as my opportunities, the more education I got and the more knowledge I got, the more opportunities open to me. So it turned out great for me.
And there's a lot of young folks, and of course today's focus is on issues affecting African American students, but this is a problem that plagues athletes all across the spectrum, But you, by getting an education, and you were just Reggie Bolton from Oakland Tech.
Right.
Man, murder capital of the world.
That's it at that time.
First guy in your family to go to college, and you have made a life. I would say, not to embarrass you or be crude here, but you've made the bulk of your money in your adult life in athletics.
In athletics. I have. And, one thing I always tell the students is it's really not about getting to the professional level. Once you get an education, the more knowledge you have about anything, the better you're going to be when you get out in the real world. So I tell all the athletes I deal with, African-American, whatever, is that education is the way to go. I'm not really concerned about even, at our level, our job is to make sure our guys move on. Wherever they move on to, they need to move on and then get a degree out of that. And so the more guys I know and all the guys I coach, that's the one thing they can always say about me is Coach Bolton will always ask you not about how much money you're making or whether you made it to the NFL, what car you're driving, did you get the degree? Because the degree is the ticket to more opportunities as you open up, and you got to have a backup plan. And education is one of those things that nobody can ever take away from you if you invest in it.
No, you are absolutely correct, because you can get that car and end up not affording the payments, or your house can burn down.
That's right.
Or she can leave you.
That's right.
Or a multitude of things, or you can get hurt. But regardless, you are always going to have that master's degree after your name.
That's right.
And like you said, doors have opened. You're associate athletic director now at BC. You get to be part of one of the most prestigious athletic departments in the country when it comes to JUCO. And who knows what the future holds for you?
No doubt. No doubt.
But we don't know, because the story's not over yet.
The story's never open.
Right.
Never over. And again, that's where I think those are opportunities, because the more knowledge you have about anything, the more opportunities you have to progress on.
Right.
So,
and you're not desperate today.
Not at all. Not at one bit. I enjoy. We talk as colleagues all the time. Where else do you get to wake up every morning and go teach people and have fun and enjoy and then get paid for it?
Sometimes you and I kind of share a wink and a laugh in the hallway, like, who'd have thunk it?
Hey, I enjoy what I do. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I don't regret never playing in the professional ranks. I think this was my plan, and I just followed it, and it's still ongoing.
Who'd have thunk it? Here we are. It's great.
It's
wonderful.
It's a great thing.
And education made it possible for the both of us. So I know we'll have another wink and a laugh again. But coming up right now, we're going to talk to a couple athletes who are at the beginning of the journey, Pat Marzette and Curtis McGregor. Pat learned something interesting at BC, but it didn't necessarily happen in a classroom. Stick around. We've got more coming up on Equity TV.